Oh, dude, that reminds me. So, I posted something in the Nerd Ruckus forum, and it was just kind of like a poll to see what people thought. And you and I have gone back on this a couple times, so I definitely feel like we need to have a conversation about it. I basically asked who would win in a fight, Mandalorian or the Predator.
I remember that poll.
Yeah, I know that you're like a big Mandalorian fan, as am I, but I'm also like a huge Predator fan, bigger
Right.
fan of the Predator. Obviously, you know where we stand on this.
Mm.
So, you're a Star Wars nerd, so definitely something that we need to discuss, man. It seems like there was, I think it was maybe by one, it was Mandalorian that actually won for the people
Right.
who did vote. My cousin actually said he was going to vote. He didn't. He was going to vote for the Predator, so it would have been tied. But thanks, Dan, for not actually taking the time to invest in clicking Predator on that poll. So it would have been a tie. But anyway, in my head it was a tie because I know where he stood. But anyway, tell me why you think the Mandalorian would win.
Well, I think it's all right. Hear me out. I'm I like logic, and I feel like Dutch beat the Predator.
Yeah.
Danny Glover beat the Predator.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the Mandalorian can beat Dutch and Danny Glover if they fought at the same time. Like if he fought the two of them at once, he could beat both of them. So, because of that, logically, the Mandalorian can beat the Predator. So that's a very simplified version of the story, but like really, like you have two characters that are hunters. The Mandalorian's a bounty hunter, and the Predator is a hunter of game, and its game is like whatever it feels is the biggest, baddest alpha beast that it can find in the galaxy or whatever, right? I guess like their main thing is hunting down xenomorphs. Like that's what they do for fun. But I mean, we've seen in the Mandalorian, like freaking, we've seen Din Djarin go out and like just take on every freaking type of creature you could think of over the first two seasons and win. I mean, sure, at the end he's a little beat up or worse for wear, but I mean, he comes out on top. No matter what it is. So, like to me, like when I watch the Predator, dope character. There's nothing. I have nothing negative to say about the Predator except every time I see a Predator movie, the motherfucker dies at the end.
See, this is my problem with and I dude, like the points about Danny Glover and Dutch, like I props, like because it makes complete sense, right? But as somebody who grew up actually reading Predator comics and reading Alien versus Predator comics, when you see them in a movie situation, the Predator is the villain, right? So the villain is going to lose. Like that's just the way that it is. I feel like the Mandalorian is the hero, so the Mandalorian is most likely going to win, right? That's the way that the story goes. It's written that way. Right. So, but if you look in like the comics, like the Predator doesn't always die. Like the Predator has been, killing tons of xenomorphs, which are basically rip apart humans. They're more vicious than humans ever could be in a lot of ways, just with their own exoskeleton and just their in their own body, right? Like they don't need weapons; they are the weapon. Right. So I feel like if a Predator can take down a bunch of bugs or xenomorphs or aliens, then he's clearly capable of taking down things that are a even bigger threat than that. So I feel like but the Mandalorian and the Predator have very similar technological capabilities that I would like to see face off. Like they basically have like the thermal vision, where they can detect each other. They both have kind of like rockets and cannons that they can use. The Predator is stronger than the Mandalorian.
Oh yeah.
So the Predator is taller. It's a bigger beast, right? So those are things that I think are pretty amazing. And I feel like the Mandalorian and the Predator with no weapons, hand to hand, that's where I feel like the Predator would probably win, just because of brute
Oh
force.
yeah, we didn't have like any caveats. It was just like the two of them squaring off. But I mean, if we're talking about like with no like gear and shit, like of course, like you know, he'd like Din would get freaking ripped in half. Like that's
And I'm not saying that wasn't where I'm coming from, but that's one of the things I think about. You know, like take away the Mandalorian's gear and the Predator's gear, Predator's gonna win. Have both, you know, let them have their weapons. I feel like they probably would be able to have a pretty fair fight. I mean, I think the Predator could win. I don't really know everything about the Mandalorian, but I know that the Predator has the ability to cloak, which I think might throw off the Mandalorian unless he can see that with his like mask.
Well, he can, like, because like he's seeing infrared and not through regular spectrum. So the cloak, unless the cloak masks all spectrum of light, then of course
then you got a problem.
So of course he's going to see him. So I think that I honestly think that'll throw off the Predator, because he's going to think that he's not, that he's like you know, cloaked or invisible, but he'll be, you know, actually in plain sight.
Yeah. I think that, I mean, they both have like weapons, like those spears. You know, the Predator's got like that disc that he throws. He's got the shoulder cannon. He's got the blades. I don't know, man. I just think it could be like a really cool fight. I'd love to see that go down.
Yeah, you know, it would definitely be a dope fight. I don't think it was going to be something like where, you know, one or the other comes out on top after, you know, a couple seconds of fighting, and, you know, it's just a easy, you know, throwdown.
Oh no, it's definitely going to be a battle.
That's like a season long like type thing, like where, you know, they're hunting each other, like, because the hunt is part of it. It's got to be.
Oh yeah.
You know, it can't just be, you know, oh, you know, they meet and they fight. It's got to be, you know, the Predator's hunting him, he figures it out, and kind of it would fall under the same like plot as like a, you know, Predator 1, Predator 2, whatever, where, you know, there's a main character, and that main character just happens to be the Mandalorian, and he's being hunted by the Predator.
But for the Mandalorian, and I'll answer for the Predator, Mandalorian, what is a strength, and what, like, one of its number one strengths, and what is his number one weakness? Because I can tell you for the Predator, I think the strength is being a very good hunter, because that's what they do, right? Like actually taking his time, making sure that he's kind of studying the other person's like movements and stuff like that. I think he's very good at that, right? He's stealthy. Right. I think the weakness the Predator has is being too cocky, because at usually the end of a fight, when he's about ready to take down somebody, like in Dutch's situation, you know, he could have killed him, right? But he goes around, he gets right above him, and that's when the thing fell on him, right?
Right.
And then in the second one, he took his time. He was cracking his knuckles right before he went to stab Danny Glover, and then he came up with that disc and kind of just started cutting him right up his torso. So I feel like if he would just go in for the kill rather than take his time and get cocky, then he might actually not get screwed in those last moments, you know? So I think those are the strength and weakness, but I'm not sure what you think about the Mandalorian.
Well, for Din, I would say it's more probably very similar strength, like where he just know he's a quick read. You know, he can see, like, you know, what's going on. He's kind of like almost like Denzel in The Equalizer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
Like he can look around a room and he can see, like, you know, take this guy out first, take this guy out second, blah blah blah. Like he can kind of, I don't want to say predict the future, but he can kind of see how things are going to fall into place, like once he gets started, and what he needs to do next. So, and he reads a situation really quick as far as, like, you know, like his enemy's weaknesses. Like he'd probably pick up on the cockiness of the Predator, you know what I mean, and use that to his advantage. Weaknesses for him, I'd say, is his maybe just his loyalty, I guess. You know, so if you know, the Predator was to threaten somebody, like and Baby Yoda, I think, would kick the fucking Predator's ass, to be honest with you. I'm sorry. Just because he's Baby Yoda and he's got the Force, and he'd just be like, yeah, and he'd fucking throw him around and shit. But but like if he somehow threatened Baby Yoda, or, like, you know, one of his, like, you know, close allies or whatever, I think there would be hesitancy. You know what I mean? He'd want to like, do anything to protect them while still trying to, figure out the best way to beat the Predator. And it would be a conflict for him because he doesn't see himself as that type of person, but he is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I
so like
that. Yeah.
So he's like that type of person that's like, he might be sorry, but like saying I'm sorry is like, no, I can't do it. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't come out of my mouth.
I'd like to. I'd be interested. I'd be interested to see like it's like what character could like what a character that's not familiar with somebody that's using the Force. Like, how do you combat that? There really is no way. If you have a master Force wielder and you have just another character, like it's most likely the Force is gonna win. But
yeah, like I said it in my last video, like I mean, a lot of people are like looking for like these Star Wars crossovers, like this one for instance, and it's just like it doesn't work. I mean,
nah.
If they come into the Star Wars universe, they're gonna get their ass whooped with the Force. I mean, that's just there's no fucking way that they.
Especially when you get somebody like Vader. I mean, forget it. He's just gonna like choke you out quick and done.
If I like,
you're done.
He'd be like, fucking kids in the hall. I'm crushing your head.
Yeah, just like that guy. What was it in the first Star Wars? Where I don't even remember which one it was. Might have been, but he just like he's choked the guy. He's like,
Admiral Payette.
It'd be the same shit. So all right, man. Good talk. Good stuff. Valid points. I like it, man. Dope.